Everything in this video is my opinion and should be taken with a grain of salt because this show is called Backseat Driver. Guys, it's finally happening. I can't believe I could share this with you. After years of making subpar, forgettable, family crossovers and sedans and SUVs, Buick is finally bringing back the Grand National. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna have the greatest new V8, and it's gonna be a manual, and it's gonna be amazing. But there's just one problem though. It's gonna cost $2.5 million, and they're gonna make 40 of them. Is what I would say if Buick cared about their past, but also did what Alfa Romeo just did. Alfa Romeo just revealed the new 33 Stradale, and is the company's first sports car since the 4C. The car is powered by a revised version of the Nettuno V6, producing 641 horsepower. This engine is also shared with the Maserati MC20 as well as the Ferrari 296. This car also shares the chassis from the MC20 too. And if you're thinking eco-friendly for some reason, they're also going to be offering it in an EV option, which is going to be a triple motor 739 brake horsepower version with a range of about 240 miles. The version with the engine in it will weigh about 3,300 pounds and do 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, as quoted by Alfa Romeo. But there's just one problem. They're making exactly 33 of them for $1.5 to $2 million. Why? Alfa Romeo's current lineup consists of 3 cars with different variations. The Giulia and the Giulia Quadrifoglio, the Giulia being $43,000 and the Quadrifoglio being $79,000. The Stelvio and the Stelvio Quadrifoglio, each being $45,000 and $86,000 respectively. And the Tonale, which is a new crossover that's essentially a copy-paste of the Dodge Hornet, which is $43,000, and for the Veloce version, it's $47,500. Alfa Romeo has said that they don't have plans for a Tonale Quadrifoglio, but that they wouldn't be opposed to the idea if enough interest is gathered from it. Going back just a little bit further, the most recent sports car that they've sold is the 4C, which retailed for about $69,000 most recently when it was still being sold. So this is a brand that just by looking at the model lineup and seeing the cars driving on the street, you can tell what their focus is. Because for a car that can be spec'd up as high as the Giulia Quadrifoglio GTA M, which is an extreme version of it with no rear seats and a roll cage and all these improvements, it starts from a car that costs only $2,000 less than a crossover SUV, which has more space, I'm pretty sure the same speed, and is also the same price as the other crossover they also sell, which is the Tonale, which again, more space, more value. And they stopped selling sports cars, so they don't care about those anymore. They only care about sedans and crossovers. So clearly, Alfa Romeo is focusing on this side of the market. But now with this new car, they are throwing a rock 6 miles that way and saying, we're gonna go that way now. Now, it's been reported that Alfa Romeo actually started the development on the chassis and engine and all these things for the MC20, for it to be a Alfa Romeo product. But through, corporate things and parental disagreements, I suppose, through Stellantis, it ended up becoming the next Maserati product. And clearly that has done very well for the company because as far as I've seen, that car has been extremely well received by journalists and has completely flipped the reputation of Maserati from being this brand that makes subpar Gran Turismos and the Quadriportes and now makes the MC20, which is this amazing car. And now it's also competing against 2 other cars, being the McLaren Artura and the Ferrari 296 in this hybrid V6 war that's currently going on. But clearly the engineering wasn't entirely lost to Alfa Romeo because they still had the chassis, they still had the engine for this new 33 Stradale. So why wouldn't they, bring back the 8C price point. The Alfa Romeo 8C was a V8 sports car that sold for around $300,000 a little while back, and was well received. It's regarded as one of the best sounding cars of all time. And $300,000 is not an extreme amount these days, because the MC20 I'm referring to is $210,000 starting price. So Alfa Romeo could have totally taken this new 33 Stradale, which looks amazing. It's so beautiful. And then ramped up the production numbers a little bit and had it compete against these other three cars and have it become a new halo car for Alfa Romeo, this important piece of sports car legacy. And legacy, by the way, being Alfa Romeo's whole thing. During the announcement for this car, they're going over all the history of Alfa Romeo. They have the racing cars on display. They have Enzo Ferrari's car on display that he started racing in. And they're making this car, and they're boasting about things like, oh, it's co-developed with Valtteri Bottas so that it handles well. And all this suppressive heritage to make a car that only 33 are going to be made, and none are going to be driven on the road and used properly like they should be. This was the perfect opportunity for Alfa Romeo to jump back into the sports car game, especially since retro design is so popular right now. You have cars like the new Z, you have cars like the new Countach, which is debated in how much it's loved. You have cars like the MC20, which is a callback to the MC12, the Enzo in a fat suit, essentially. And even among high-end manufacturers, Aston Martin did actually what Alfa Romeo should do for this car, which is they made a one-off called the Aston Martin Victor, this beautiful V12 manual one-off for a customer. And everyone loved it. Everyone thought it was beautiful. And Aston Martin worked with the customer to bring the Aston Martin Velour to production, which is essentially just the Victor, but on the Vantage platform. And it's amazing. And they're making it for mass production, or it might be limited production, but they're making more. They're making a lot more than 33 of them for people. The 33 is also road legal. So they had to do some kind of regulation. They had to do some kind of crash testing. Why would they go through all the effort of making sure that this car can drive on the road and only make 33 of them when they could have easily made a hell of a lot more? And yes, increased production costs are a thing, but when you're making thousands of cars for hundreds of thousands of dollars instead of just 33 cars for $1.5 to $2 million, you're gonna make more money, and you're also gonna, again, bolster the reputation of the brand and bring it back up to a respectable status. No one that owns a base Stelvio is gonna look at this car and care about it at all, because it doesn't reflect what they bought the Stelvio for, which is it's a cheap, good-looking crossover. That's all they care about. They don't care about the 33. Why would you make this such an exclusive product? Make it more wide open. If Maserati wanted to just print 35 of the MC20 and call it a day and make them all 2.5 million, they could have, but no one would have bought it and no one would have cared. It wouldn't have been a viable competitor against the Artura and the 296. And speaking of competitors, what is the competitor for this car? It's $1.5 to $2 million. And it has 641 horsepower, does 0 to 60 in under 3, which today is not fast for $1.5 million to $2 million. Yes, I understand it's beautiful, which is exactly why we all want this car, but now no one's gonna drive it, let alone even see them, because they're making 33, and everyone that bought them is an investor in Alfa Romeo that is gonna keep it in a garage until they can sell it one day for millions more. This is actually not the most recent example of them making some beautiful car that everyone wanted and no one can have it. They made the short wheelbase Zagato. It was powered by a revised version of the Julius V6 with it 533 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque, and it had a 6-speed manual, and it was a coupe. It was to celebrate the, I think it's 50 years of the Giulia. It was made for a, quote, loyal Alfa Romeo enthusiast in Germany, who, let me get this right here, is known for, quote, owning every vehicle from the company's modern lineup, as well as a 1990 SZ and an 8C Competizione. So they own a Tonale, a Stelvio, a Giulia Quadrifoglio, a Giulia GTA, and then they're like, okay, you're a valuable customer, we're gonna bill you a one-off. It just doesn't make sense for Alfa Romeo to build these beautiful cars that everyone wants and make them so limited when there's a market for it. People want them. People want to root for Alfa Romeo. People want it to do good. This 33 Stradale is amazing looking, and I would have loved to see 3, 4, 5, 10 of them lined up at my local Cars and Coffee, but now I never will because there's 33 of them being made. And Alfa Romeo enthusiasts won't enjoy it because what's an Alfa Romeo enthusiast these days? I drive a Mini. What's a Mini enthusiast these days? You tell me. They read the market wrong and they shot where they shouldn't have, and it's a disappointment. They should have made more for less money, and it would have made them more money, and we would have loved them for it. But alas. Sadly, I think the comparison to the Buick Grand National is very fitting, because if they were to make a Buick Grand National today and sold it for $2.5 million and they made 40 of them, then it would, in theory, make them some money, I suppose. But no one would want to buy it because the rest of their clientele are driving cars that cost 50 times less than this hypothetical new Grand National. And this isn't even hypothetical. This one is real. The 33 is real. And it costs 44 times a base Stelvio. And it shares no personality. What's the point? Alright, this is what happens when you try and script a video and you take way too long on it, and other things come up, and then the script for the original video changes. Let's go. A couple little things at the end here. I wanted to make a couple notes. I realized that the last video I made was not the most freshly researched. I'm jumping back into this YouTube thing, and I'm still getting back into everything. And I might have said something about them only making like 700 or something of the regular SF90, which is not true. I don't know where I read that, but I was just gathering info as quick as I could. But I'm trying to gather info a little more concisely now, and not make those tiny little mistakes. I do still hate that SF90 though. It's stupid. I don't like it. It's pointless. I will make a follow-up if it is required, but no one gives a shit. Also, I am trying to make some more videos as things come out. I don't mean to just keep making videos on brand new cars. The video I was going to make was going to be about Mercedes, but it seems like they are going to change some of their decisions about some recent models. So maybe the topic of the video will change, but we'll see. But yeah, hopefully this was a good video. I feel like this is a pretty easy case to plead because, like, what the hell, Alfa Romeo? Like, we all love you, we want you to do good, but a $1.5 to $2 million supercar that no one is ever gonna even see, like, that's not gonna help the brand at all. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you like, I suppose. I'm not good at asking for this stuff, but yeah, thank you. Bye.